I give them insight into who's coming on the podcast and offer them the opportunity to ask each and every guest a question.
Cool. So they knew that I was coming on, so these were specifically for me. All right,
This
right
is specifically for you. So this is from Jesse. What do you believe is the most underestimated factor in optimizing longevity and cognitive performance, and how can individuals practically integrate this into their daily routines?
So the most underutilized, overlooked area in all of human optimization, as we talked about a few minutes ago, is sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing, you're not repairing, you're not eliminating waste, you're not toxifying. And so if I was to just pick one thing to optimize in my life to improve my cognitive performance, it would be sleep. And then followed by a second, third, and fourth, and I'll just lay those out for Jesse. The second would be movement. Again, going back to the discussion we had about the blue zones, one of the things that was common between all of the different blue zones, which was not diet, was mobility until later in life. So sitting is the new smoking. Sedentary lifestyle is now the leading cause of all-cause mortality.
Wow.
Yeah.
The leading cause?
It is the leading cause of all-cause mortality, meaning the greatest impact on the total number of deaths, what's called a modifiable risk factor, is sedentary lifestyle. I have a saying that aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort. And most of us are aggressively pursuing comfort, and we are accelerating the rate at which we age. We have to stop thinking about stress as being a negative, right? Stress can be very good for us. If you don't actually load your bones, they will not strengthen. I don't care how much calcium you take. If you don't actually tear a muscle, it won't grow. If you don't challenge the immune system, it will weaken. The worst thing that came out of the pandemic, second maybe only to the vaccine itself, and we can talk about that, but was residential quarantining, masking, and social distancing. You took human beings out of contact with other human beings. So what happens when that occurs? The immune system weakens, right? The body's very efficient. If you stop using something, it will forget about it. Right? If you put a cast on your left arm, even if it's healthy, and you take it off in 6 weeks and you compare your left arm to your right arm, it will not only have lost muscle mass, but you will have lost a lot of tissue, right? Not just fat, muscle, tendon, ligament, bone will start to demineralize, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And so when we stopped challenging the immune system weakened. And then we woke up from the pandemic and everybody went back to quote unquote normal society. And now you start hearing about things like, well, we're on our 8th version of Omicron, we're monkeypox. Well, what the hell is monkeypox? Where did that come from? Well, it's always been around. It's just been so weak that it never manifested itself. But you globally weaken the immune system, and now you've got a weakened society without a strong immune system, and you're seeing the consequences of that. So, sleep first, and mobility second. And I don't care how deconditioned you are. You don't have to go out and do HIIT cardio and super Spartan races. You just need to move. And 3 15-minute walks a day. Apply stress to your body. I mean, the simple fact is, if you want to live a long time, lift heavy weight.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. No question.
Lift heavy weight.
Lift heavy weight. Challenge your body. Tear your muscles. Apply stress to the body. Lift things that are heavy. Not so heavy that you hurt yourself. I don't believe in loading the spine. But if you can walk, that's excellent for you. It's probably the most underrated exercise in the world. But if you only had time to do cardiovascular training or weight training, I would do weight training, right?
Really?
Even if it's just body weight exercises, no question, because weight training beats cardiovascular training hands down. Muscle is not only our metabolic currency, but muscle is, in my opinion, and probably Gabrielle Lyon would share this with me too, is the largest organ in the body. Like, what does muscle do that we don't know that it does? We know it holds our skeleton up and it, moves our bones around, but makes us look good if we're physically fit. But the truth is that muscle is a sponge for glucose, right? I mean, it absorbs glucose. It uses the sugar in our bloodstream. If you want to lower your blood sugar, move your muscles. It also holds our skeletal system erect. The greatest risk to longevity in the elderly is frailty, right? That's why grip strength is actually directly tied to longevity.
No kidding.
When you look, no question. I mean, the elderly, what happens is, falls are enormous risk to the elderly and to the frail. Why do people start falling in older ages? Is it because they're losing their balance or they're disoriented or they trip more often? No, you probably had 6 incidences in the last month where you would have fallen if you didn't have the grip strength to stop yourself, right? But you can hold on to your door handle. You can grab the railing of a stair. You can brace yourself on the wall, and you just moved on about your day. When you're frail and you can't stop the momentum of a fall, then you end up with a catastrophic injury. And then without loading our spine, without loading our skeletal system, it begins to weaken. You know, how many of us know, we used to call it the Triad of death in the mortality space when I was doing mortality research. You know, someone would break their hip and within 36 months, they were dead. Why would a hip fracture lead to early death? Because the majority of hip fractures in the elderly are not elderly people falling and breaking their hip. The majority of hip fractures in the elderly are the hip breaking and then they fall. And there's a difference between the fracture causing the fall and the fall causing the fracture. So when your skeletal system is so weak that it can not only support its own weight, grandma's standing at the kitchen sink doing dishes and her femoral head cracks and she falls and they go, oh my gosh, grandma fell and broke her hip. No, she didn't. Her hip broke and then she fell. And so we have pursued comfort so aggressively that we become so frail that we can't even essentially protect ourselves. So those would be my big recommendations would be start a process. I mean, Sardinia, for example, in the blue zones in Sardinia, their life expectancy was directly related to the grade of the slope they walked up. The steeper the slope, the longer the life expectancy.
No kidding.
Yeah, you got 93, 97-year-old men and women walking up 30+ degree slopes, 10 blocks to go to church, 4 blocks over to the market, 4 blocks back home. There's no such thing as elevators there. There's no such thing as assisted care living facilities. Assisted care living is mom and dad move back in with the kids until they pass away. And what does that do? It gives mom and dad a sense of purpose. Even if their only purpose is to go out to the garden and get vegetables for that night's dinner. Right? Or they make, dad's 105 years old and he's still making belts for the community. They have a purpose. They have actually some meaning. And so sense of purpose, mobility into later in life and whole foods. That's what you get from the blue zones. We should adopt those philosophies here. Not be dogmatic about dieting, right? But eat whole foods and move our ass, right? I mean, we regulate everything, our air temperature, our lighting, our temperature in our car, the temperature in our office, the temperature in our home. If you want to make your house the surface of the sun at 1 o'clock in the morning, you can just turn all the lights on, right? I mean, it's very unnatural. We've gotten so far out of just the natural circadian rhythm of life. So when Jessica was asking about, my tips for living a long life and improving your cognitive function, it would absolutely be mobility, whole foods, focus on sleep.
Interesting. So no more escalators.
Dude, I have a thing, man. My team, like when we travel, like you get on an escalator, you better have a shit ton of baggage that you can't carry up the steps, right?
I can't stand it, man. I won't take them just because everybody gets on and they just stand there and the phone comes out and they look at it.
Yeah, it's called a mobile walkway.
Flight, But wow.
They just get on it, stand.
Yep.
Get on the escalator, stand.
Literally everybody.
You stand.
Everybody does.
Yeah. We do like intermittent standing. It's crazy.
Intermittent standing.